Well, welcome everybody. So wonderful to have you with us this morning, or whatever time it is for you right now. Today we're going to explore Qigong, Tai Chi, essentially some very exciting mind and body exercises to really to help to transform your health. Vitality, and as we'll see, there's quite a huge range of health benefits from these exercises. But let's take a little walk through some of the history, some of the science, but most importantly, stay tuned for us to actually participate and learn at the same time. So, one of the interesting things about society today is that we have pills for everything. And many people feel that any kind of health issue, they immediately search out a pill to fix it. We have this expectation that we should never experience any kind of distress. And if we do, we immediately have to find a pill to fix it. And that has a lot of negative consequences, of course, because many of the pills actually have side effects, that sort of thing. What's interesting is that if we look at the research about how Tai Chi and Qigong, all the health benefits of these exercises, we can take a look at that. And the fact that really there's almost no side effects from practicing as long as they're done within the proper constraints, a little bit of common sense. We really have almost no side effects. So now in this particular research study, it's what's called a review paper, and this was published in a medical journal for Canadian family doctors. And what these doctors wanted to do was they wanted to take a look at the big picture of Tai Chi and Qigong research, actual research. What does the scientific research tell us that these exercises can do for our health, or not? And what they find is that it's an extremely safe, very few side effects of any kind, once again, as long as it's practiced within one's own personal limitations. And it has a wide range of proven health benefits. Parkinson's disease, osteoarthritis. Most people, especially as they get older, tend to have arthritic conditions, knees, hips, other joints in the body. Lung diseases, like, for example, COPD. Many people suffer from COPD, the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Another big one is to maintain as optimal cognitive abilities as we age, which is a huge issue today with dementia, Alzheimer's, that sort of thing. And Tai Chi is clinically proven in many studies now that it's a wonderful way to keep your mind sharp. So it isn't just a physical exercise, and I'll talk about that shortly, but it's also excellent for cognitive function as well. And also, we have balance. It's a huge thing. In fact, as people get older, taking falls is a major concern for breaking hips and breaking bones, that sort of thing. Tai Chi is the single most important exercise for fall prevention in seniors. And surprisingly, because Tai Chi is so so gentle, it is a little bit surprising, perhaps, that it is also helps to maintain aerobic capacity, even though it's not a vigorous exercise. So that's perhaps a surprising part of Tai Chi research. The bad side is that it isn't a pill. It's just not as easy to take as a pill. It's a skill. We need to learn the skills. And we need to practice the skills. That's always the biggest challenge, is to practice. So I hope today that I'll inspire you to take one little element of Qigong, Tai Chi, once you understand a bit more about what they are, and we can practice them on a regular basis, and you'll start to see the great benefits to your health. Qigong and Tai Chi really are in a special, unique category of exercises. I like to call them mind-body exercise. They're not just a physical exercise, and often Tai Chi is called a moving meditation. So the idea is we have meditation, which is a mental mind breathing practice, but we combine it with movement. A great way to think about why these exercises are, in fact, so beneficial is to think about stress. So we have all kinds of stressors, things that stress us. Family, nothing more stressful than family. Money stresses, work stresses, noise, exposure to toxic elements, for example. Poor nutrition, lots of opportunities for that today. All these things create physiological stress, mental stress. Stress can be physiological, it can be, stress itself is a mind-body experience for us. And what is our response to stress? Well, if you think about the list of things, as you can see on this screen, muscle tension, digestive changes. Stress affects our digestive system. We digest our food less efficiently. If we're in the middle of stress, our heart rate will speed up, our pulse will go up, our blood pressure can go up. And if we have a prolonged stress, it can affect our sleep as well. And then we can get into negative thoughts, behaviors, that sort of thing as well. So stress really can take a toll when it becomes chronic. We do need a little bit of stress in our lives. It's what makes the human existence interesting and stimulates us, but at the same time, chronic, prolonged experience of stress has a lot of adverse consequences. In fact, there's a whole field of psychoneuroimmunology, all these various big long names that describe the scientific exploration of how the mind and the body are all connected, the immune system, all these things. And certainly in the time of COVID, we want to think about how to keep our immune system optimized, for example. What I'm coming to is to help you understand why mind-body breathing exercises are so powerful. They get to the core and the root of improving our health in a very deep way. So if we think about that stress response, obviously if we have obvious stressors, for example, if we have relationship stress, what is the best thing to do? Well, it's to solve the problem of the stress. So it's just always not an easy thing to do. But if we've had chronic stress, that effect of the stress is embedded in our whole mind, body, and our nervous system. And we need a way to restore that. Now, many of the kind of pills that people take from their doctor, one way of thinking about the stress is we have a parasympathetic and a sympathetic branch. So the sympathetic branch is that overstimulated part that makes everything become a bit hyperactive. And it gets overstimulated chronically. The parasympathetic is what we need to support because it gets dysfunctional because the sympathetic has become dominant, effectively. So we need to bring balance back between those things. What a lot of the medications that people take help to reduce that sympathetic, but they don't strengthen the parasympathetic. They don't restore that. So a person becomes effectively needing pills continually to suppress the sympathetic, but they're never ever truly healing from taking these pills. Not that they aren't helpful at certain periods for certain people. So if we think about all kinds of practices, that essentially we can describe them as Herbert Benson, a Harvard professor, used to call them the relaxation response. Different practices that stimulate the relaxation response, or what they do is they help to restore that sympathetic and parasympathetic balance. They're reaching deep into the nervous system, beyond the body, beyond the mind, beyond the breathing, into the interconnection of all three things. And of course, there's a whole bunch of practices that have been developed, and one of the types of practices that came from China and Asia are Qigong and Tai Chi, which we'll get to explore today. So, as you can see on this screen, we can see that this is very interesting. In Chinese culture, they don't have words made up of letters. They have words that are characters. So they have their origin in little pictures. And what's interesting is that the same character for music is also used for medicines or drugs. So if we think about the implications of that, if we look at the Chinese character that has its origins in those two words, what we see are bells representing Chinese music, so you can see why the character is used for music. But why would it also apply to a drug? Because medicines or herbal medicines were developed to bring, the idea was to bring the whole mind-body system back into balance. So there was an idea of harmoniousness between the whole system. This is very different from our medical system, which gets its power by focusing in on parts and not thinking about the whole. So inherent to the Chinese approach is, as you can also see in this screen, yin-yang. Most people are familiar, they've seen and this actually is the Tai Chi. This is the supreme ultimate Tai Chi, which is comprised of yin and yang. So all elements in the universe have this changing pattern. We have hot, cold, dark, light. We have all these cycles and patterns of change. And but you're always considering the whole at the same time. So get yourself ready. If you're able to lie on your floor, or if you can find a sofa, bed, in a very comfortable place, we'll begin Fung Gong, relaxation breathing, a wonderful Qigong exercise to start with. Okay, I hope hope everybody is comfortable and has found an appropriate place to assume a lying position. And as I say, keep yourself comfortable as possible. If you have back issues, for example, you could raise your knees a little bit with a blanket or a pillow, or you could put a little bolster or blanket under the small of your back. And also feel free to make use of cushions, little pillows, blankets, just to get your head position comfortable. You want to create a physical sensation where you are totally as physically comfortable as possible. So your aches and pains or various infirmities are not very noticeable. Okay, once you've achieved that comfortable physical position, then we want to attend to the exercise itself. So this is called Fung Gong, which is could translate as relaxation breathing. So there's going to be three components that we want to pay attention to. The first is our mind. And meditation, the skill of meditation is inherent to this. And the mind naturally wanders, has all kinds of interesting things if you want to sit and watch your mind, see what happens in it. And with this practice, we're trying to not just become mindful, as one element of meditation is mindfulness. We're just not trying to become mindful, but we're trying to go past that mindfulness stage into the development of mental quietude. So in Chinese, that's called Jing, Jing, which translates as mental quietude. So the thoughts that arise are going to become less and less dominant. So that in effect is the process of meditation, is to become mindful, aware of what's happening in one's mind, and the more you do that, the quieter that the mind becomes. If we think about the breath, what we're working with in our breath is with stress or tension, or often habitually people will breathe up in the chest. And if we get really relaxed, in a very, very deep state of relaxation, the breath is naturally going to sink into the lower abdomen. So in Chinese Qigong, this is called Dan Qian breathing. The Dan Qian is the area below the navel. So the breath is so deep, deep abdominal breath is so deep that it's deeply in the abdomen. Now, what about the body? The body itself, we're trying to induce deep muscular relaxation. So we're trying to tune in to the tension, habitual areas of the body that are held to be tense, and we're going to induce relaxation. So how are we going to do that? Well, the breath is the anchor. Use your breath as an anchor. No matter what happens, your breath is always there. Tune into your breath and just watch it, observe it. As we breathe in, we can let that deep breath serve as an anchor for the exercise. we're going to use two words, trigger words. The first is quiet. So as we inhale, we use the word quiet. And the word quiet will help to induce and allow us to pay attention to our mental activity and let our mind very gradually and slowly become quieter, less busy. As we exhale, we're going to use a different word. We're going to use the word relax. And the word relax is a trigger to pay attention to our physical body, our musculature, and relax and feel an openness and a relaxation happening in the body. So we have those two trigger words. Quiet, that we use as we inhale. Relax, that we use as we exhale. So quiet, relax. The breath is the anchor, the root, the center. Quiet allows us to connect to our mental activities and just let them float away. Relax is a trigger to pay attention to our muscles, let our body feel heavy, open, relaxed. Quiet, relax. Excellent. Now, if you haven't fallen asleep, if you had, that's wonderful. Enjoy your sleep. You can very gently get yourself up and just rub your hands together. Rub your face. And get yourself up. Now, in fact, one of the side effects of that particular exercise is that it can put you to sleep. And that's a good thing, because many people actually have problems sleeping. They need to take pills to help them to sleep. So if that exercise practice of Qigong helps to induce sleep, you have a great skill for the rest of your life. And I would encourage you to start with 5 minutes. See if you can gradually work your way up to 20 minutes, and it will really give you an excellent core practice of all the different elements that underlie all Tai Chi and Qigong practice. Okay, so we had these early exercises which are called Dao Yin, and in more recent times these practices have become known as Qi Gong. And you can see on this screen that Qi is a character that often people translate as energy, but it's a lot more than that. In my book, The Future of Healing, which I'd encourage you to read, and of course it's available in the wonderful Cape Breton Regional Library System, Qi is the essence of the body, the energetic essence that animates us, that allows all the functions to happen. And Gong is a word that implies effort, work, mastery. So we're actually putting work or effort into creating balance within the qi of our body, which, as I've described from a more scientific point of view, is restoring the nervous system, optimizing all the functions within the body. The practice of Fung, Sung, Gong, lying down, is a great way to start as an introduction to develop the skills that you need in Qigong. But let's go a little bit further. As a next step, we can think about posture. So when we're lying, one of the advantages of that is we can get ourselves really comfortable with pillows and lying on a bed so that we have no physical discomfort. But ultimately, we have to pay attention to our body and posture, because we're going to spend a lot of our day sitting, standing, that sort of thing. So we need to think about posture. So what are some of the things that we can explore? Well, there's a lot of Qigong stances that we can work with. And let's try one very common one that will start to introduce us to a lot of the different elements. One of the key elements of posture is yin and yang. So yang is the strength, is the force that holds us up. But if we only have an upward force with strength, that becomes tension at a certain point. And we don't want tension. We also want yin, which is the sinking relaxation. So we simultaneously want to try to feel that we're being held up by a string, or we're hanging from a string, So we have this strength, and that is especially manifest in the spine, so that we have this nice straight spine. But at the same time, everything is loose, sinking. So there's lifting and also sinking at the same time, paradoxically. And we try to feel that. We feel the lift and we feel the sink. Now, the shoulders and the hips are two key areas where people have a lot of tension. The shoulders, I think, is obvious, because a lot of people, if they go to massage therapists or whatever, they get their spouse or significant others in their lives, oh, give me some little bit of massage or rub in the neck and the shoulder areas, always become tense. So even if people lift their hands, their arms, the shoulders often will come up because there's just this tension here, there's this tension. So what we're trying to do is keep the shoulders really relaxed. In Qigong and Tai Chi, the word is Sung, S-O-N-G, which translates as openness, relaxation, but it's very much an opening, letting things open up. Because when things are tense, everything is closed. So you can imagine keeping this shoulders relaxed. Obviously, that's going to let your elbows sink. And then with that relaxation, also the chest sinks. And when the chest sinks, it allows the breath to sink into the dantian. We get that deep abdominal breathing. So we're relaxing chest, chin's tucked in a little bit. Then if we pay attention a little bit further down, another key area, so the shoulders, neck is a key area to learn to keep that relaxed. The hips, in Chinese, that's the qua. So sang qua means to learn to relax the hips. In fact, I describe it as a second knee. It's actually, and that tunes you into the core. There's a lot of talk about the core these days. This is part of the core. And as people get older, their ability even to get out of a chair is dependent on this. And you'll notice that as you develop strength and flexibility and looseness in the qua, this area, we'll actually find, even as we walk upstairs, it takes the pressure off the knees. As people get older, knee problems are pretty common, and people tend to walk as if they have peg legs. They walk very straight like this. So it can become, whereas if you watch little younger children, they're loose like this, and if they fall, the children don't get hurt. Whereas if adults fall, the legs are all stiff, they will tend to hit hard. It's almost as if they've fallen from a higher height, which they have in one sense, but it's all relative. So the key is the qua. Once we relax the qua, the knees open up, and over time, everything becomes a lot more flexible, a lot stronger. And there have been, and it's certainly, as I showed you previously, people, it's an effective treatment for arthritis, the practice of Tai Chi. Very effective, proven. But some people have gone as far as to reverse the arthritis, reverse the process. It's not just make it, keep it a little more comfortable, but in fact you can actually see on the x-rays they've actually could improve the function, and that's because all the muscles get stronger, the motion within the joint is improved, the fluids improve, and the body has the capacity to heal itself to some degree. So we're paying attention here. So we want to loosen the knees, and I don't like to think about bending the knees. The way I like to describe it is if we loosen the qua right here, we can actually feel what happens to the knees. The knees loosen. So it's not as much to think we're bending the knees. We're not bending the knees. We're actually loosening the qua, strengthening here. And in this particular stance, we can actually widen the knees just a little bit. Again, we all have to be comfortable. There might be some in the audience today that maybe their pain is so bad they might have trouble standing, and a lot of these practices can be done sitting as well. So we all have to work within our comfort zones. But if this is comfortable for you, let's just try it for a few minutes. So feel the straightness of the spine. We're held up by a string. We're also sinking. Our shoulders are relaxed and sunken. The qua, the hip area is loose so that the knees are open. Our chest is relaxed so that our breath sinks. Great. How did you make out with that? I'd recommend start with 2 minutes, work your way up to 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, or longer if you can do 20 minutes. Wonderful practice to do outdoors. As this is being recorded, it's a little bit chilly outside, but once we get into the warmer weather, parks, forests, connect to nature, which is a huge element of these practices, is connecting ourselves to nature. And that's a whole separate topic, but there's a tremendous amount of research today showing that even looking at nature has huge health benefits. Being out in nature, forests, parks, green grass and plants, and making that connection really has tremendous health benefits. So, and that's part of traditional practice of Qigong and Tai Chi. Okay, so we've gone from a lying posture to a standing posture. Paying a lot more elements of posture come into play as we stand. And many people will find there might be aches and pains in the body, back, knees, hips. Many Tai Chi masters would get their students to hold certain postures for 3 or 4 hours. And the reason for that is if you don't learn to optimize the relaxation and only use the muscles you need to hold the posture, keeping all the other muscles relaxed. If you don't learn how to do that, it doesn't take very long before the pain happens. And many people might have discovered that with just a basic standing posture. They'll start to feel the aches and pains will act up. And that is a gateway for you to understand and learn over time how to relax the areas, really, to cultivate the relaxation. It takes a lot of practice. It's not something that will happen really quickly. But let's move from there to some of the an example of a moving Qigong. So the big difference with the Qigong, it tends to be very simple, repetitive movements. So this particular Qigong, we're going to exhale so that right here we're fully exhaled. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, one last time. Beautiful. So feel free to adapt that to your own physical. Many people might have bad shoulders. If that's the case, you can just make a small little movement. You're better off to stay within your comfort zone. If tiny little movements are comfortable, and put you into that comfort zone, stick with that. And then over time, you'll find it's actually a therapy to work with bad shoulders, or for example. I often use clinically with people these exercises to help heal chronic injuries. Very, very effective to help heal chronic injuries. But it requires staying within your comfort zone. So if this large movement is uncomfortable with neck or shoulders and it begins to create pain, that will distract or take away from the positive effect. So keep within the comfort and that is safe and comfortable for you. Okay, so we've explored the science behind mind-body type exercises such as Qigong, Tai Chi. We've talked about Dao Yin, the ancient types of practices, and Qigong. And I should emphasize that when it comes to Qigong, there's literally thousands of different Qigong sets of movements. Literally thousands. People have counted them maybe over 3,000. So there's many, many different kinds. There's some that involve no movement, other ones that involve gentle movement in a standing posture, and then there's some that would involve a little bit of stepping, but they tend to be very repetitive. At a certain point in history, people took these elements, these inner elements of mind, body, breathing, and they also explored how they could be used for martial arts purposes. So the very first was Chen, which is a family name. In Chen village in China, very famous village because it's the origin of Tai Chi as a martial art. So technically speaking, it's called Tai Chi Chuan. And the Chuan is the Chinese word for fist. So Tai Chi is that abstract yin-yang philosophical concept. So how do you apply that to fighting fist? The key element, as you can see with this on the screen, is that Tai Chi Chuan is a martial art in its origins, but now practiced largely as a health exercise. So it involves all those elements of mental focus, deep breathing, physical relaxation that we need. Those are the three key elements that are in common between Qigong, Tai Chi, the earlier exercises of Dao Yin. So we have physical postural elements, we have breathing elements, and we have that meditation part too. So that's where we're combining all those three things together. Qigong is often a great place to start because they're easier to learn and very repetitive. So we can get into that repetitive. So you could easily, from what we've learned today, start out with some Fung, Gong, lying, and then just move to some standing Qigong, which we've seen that one. And you could also just try a little bit of the standing posture meditation as well. But let's introduce a little bit of Tai Chi. So Tai Chi, originally for fighting, martial purposes, Tai Chi Chuan, fist. Now practiced as a health exercise. The Tai Chi is a wonderful practice, but compared to Qigong, it's a little bit more complicated to learn. So I think it's important to realize that. Find a class that emphasizes not too much complexity of, because many people drop out of Tai Chi, unfortunately, because of the can be complex. So you want to start just a few movements, get to know those movements, develop the inner skills. For health purposes, it is really the inner skills of Tai Chi that make so much difference for your health. The breathing, the meditation, the postural elements, the ability to relax. These skills are so critical to improving your health. And if you're worried about learning all kinds of complex things, that tends to just be stressful for people. So it's not a good approach for health Tai Chi. For martial arts Tai Chi, on the other hand, you want to have a large repertoire of movements to be able to use for self-defense, for attack. So it's important to spend a lot of time to learn not just a lot of different movements, but also the applications of each movement and how it's used for fighting purposes. So we'll introduce so we have different styles of Tai Chi. So there isn't just Tai Chi. There's actually Chen Tai Chi, which is the original Tai Chi, which is a last name. We also have Yang Tai Chi or Yang Tai Chi. And Yang Tai Chi grew out of Chen Tai Chi. Interesting story about how Yang learned it from Chen. Interesting story. You can Google that. We have other Wu styles, and Northern Wu, Southern Wu. And one of the more recent styles of Tai Chi is called Sun Tai Chi. Sun Tai Chi is a wonderful form of Tai Chi that has built into it some Qigong. And the Qigong is to maintain that posture. Inhale, exhale. Inhale and exhale. So that actually is your first, perhaps your first Tai Chi movement you've ever learned, and that's not too difficult. Let's match it up with another movement just to finish off the session. Nice posture, hands by the side. We can lift our hands as if we're going to grab a ball out in front of us. Push the ball down under the surface of the water. If it's a beach ball, the ball pops up. We will step ahead with our left foot. Then we have our open close. So that's the first two movements. I'll just try it at a different angle. So we're in the water, beach ball right in front of us. Reach for the beach ball, push the beach ball under the water. Beach ball pops up, gets away from us, and we abandon the beach ball. Nice deep breath in, and a nice deep exhalation, complete exhalation. And those are the first two movements of a simplified Sun style Tai Chi form. And normally in class, I will start out with 6 movements. So you already have 2 that quickly. So you're 1/3 of the way to becoming a Tai Chi master, just by paying attention to this video. So thank you very much, everybody. It's been wonderful. I hope that if you take just a few simple elements that we've explored today, give them 2 weeks. Practice every day. See if it makes a difference for you. And I'm sure it will. So thank you very much. Wonderful that you could join us. Take care.